I always loved Katt.
I love Katt.
So I don't know.
He did that interview. He said I wouldn't have him on. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'll have you on. Let's go.
2 times.
Anytime.
That was Joe Rogan revealing that he loves Katt Williams and is more than willing to have him on his show. This revelation raised quite a few eyebrows because, as you may know, many folks in the biz are steering clear of featuring Katt on their shows. Why, you ask? Well, it's the fear of facing some serious backlash from the higher-ups he's been exposing. But Joe Rogan is breaking the mold here. His bold move has sent shockwaves through fandom, making many believe that Rogan isn't just paying lip service. Oh no, word on the street is that Rogan might actually be a believer in Williams' revelation about the industry and how comedians such as Kevin Hart and Steve Harvey are being used as puppets by the powers that be. For context, Williams insinuated that Steve Harvey plagiarized Mark Curry's role as Mark Cooper in Hangin' with Mr. Cooper on his series, The Steve Harvey Show.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had.
He also asserted that Harvey would never make it as a movie star, which is why he sticks to hosting Family Feud and sitcoms. Then you ask him, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star, Williams continued. This the same N that hated on Bernie Mac with this same thing? There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asked for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You have to have range. As for Kevin Hart, Katt Williams began by highlighting the astonishing trajectory of Hart's career in Hollywood by first questioning the unprecedented speed with which Hart achieved success.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club.
Williams went on and suggested that Hart's rapid ascent was unusual and posed the question of whether Hart had truly paid his dues in the competitive world of stand-up comedy. The comedian emphasized the significance of the journey and questioned whether Hart's seemingly instant success was indicative of a different narrative.
He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No.
In the interview, Katt Williams introduced the term plant to describe someone who seemingly appears out of nowhere and attains success without the traditional struggles that comedians often face, and then claims they are self-made. Williams then drew attention to the fact that Kevin Hart's documentary with Chris Rock revealed his comedy roots on the East Coast. He pointed to a perceived contradiction in Hart's narrative, noting, "He just did his documentary with Chris Rock, where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast. So how, simultaneously, was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen." In any case, Hart has previously said that Williams is mad because he squandered his Hollywood capital on substances and unprofessionalism and shouldn't disparage an up-and-comer. You had the shot. You were set up to be the star. You didn't show up to work. You effed off promo shoots. You effed off promo trips. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studio stopped effing with you, Hart said. Anyway, back to his interview on Club Shay Shay. Williams expressed frustration with the industry's tendency to overlook his suggestions for comedy projects. He claimed that for a 5-year period, every movie Kevin Hart worked on had been on his desk first. Williams asserted that his input involved pushing for changes to avoid perpetuating certain stereotypes, but his suggestions were allegedly ignored. This led him to question the authenticity of the industry's commitment to diversity and innovation. Katt Williams also addressed the issue of comedic standards during the interview. He explained that his refusal to compromise on certain content, specifically avoiding overtly homosexual themes, had led to him losing out on opportunities. Williams argued that he wasn't against humor, but advocated for a more thoughtful and considerate approach to comedy that didn't rely on outdated and potentially offensive tropes. You see, Katt has a long history of calling out Hollywood elites and their shady ways of controlling black celebrities. In a 2013 interview with Blacktree TV, while discussing his role in Scary Movie 5, Katt delved into some interesting topics, including a theory about black actors being forced to wear dresses on screen in order to progress to the next level of fame. It's worth noting that this interview came out not long after Kevin Hart appeared on an SNL skit wearing a dress. For context, it all started when Dave Chappelle, another revered comedian, appeared on Oprah's show in 2006, where he talked openly about his refusal to accept a $50 million deal from Comedy Central. He felt that such deals came with strings attached, and he was unwilling to be controlled or humiliated for the sake of a paycheck. Chappelle's revelations didn't end there. He recounted being asked to wear a dress for a movie scene, an experience that left him deeply uncomfortable. According to him, many comedians had faced similar situations, having to don dresses on screen, and it often coincided with a critical juncture in their careers. This, too, was a nod to the prevailing industry belief that Black entertainers needed to cross this peculiar threshold to advance. Fast forward to 2012, when Kevin Hart was asked about Dave Chappelle's claims during a radio show. While he didn't explicitly say no to ever wearing a dress, Hart emphasized the importance of personal boundaries. He stated that crossing these boundaries was non-negotiable for him.
You have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross.
He even cited examples of bizarre requests he had received, such as dribbling a basketball on a talk show, which he politely declined. Hart stressed the importance of protecting his brand and the potential risks of compromising it. However, just a year later, Hart appeared in an SNL skit where he donned a dress, a move that drew sharp criticism from fans. Some accused him of being a sellout, arguing that he had contradicted his earlier stance. The skit portrayed him as a 9-year-old child pope, an image that many believe didn't align with the Kevin Hart they had come to know.
The new pope is 9-year-old Oscar nominee, Kavenzhane Wallace.
Katt Williams seized this opportunity to reignite the feud. He suggested that Kevin Hart's actions on SNL were merely part of a larger pattern, insinuating that Hart was willingly playing by the industry's rules to secure fame and fortune. Williams opined that Hart's success allowed him to escape criticism for wearing a dress, as a long line of comedians had already done so before him.
At the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him.
He pointed to movies like Big Mama's House and the Medea franchise as examples of previous instances where comedians had donned dresses. Williams didn't go all out in his attack on Hart. Instead, he subtly questioned the choices made by comedians who aimed for mainstream success. He hinted that some entertainers, including himself and Dave Chappelle, were willing to go against the grain, and as a result, might never attain the same level of fame as Hart. The feud took a heated turn when Kevin Hart, fed up with Williams' insinuations, unleashed his frustration during an appearance on the Breakfast Club radio show. Hart hit back hard, accusing Katt Williams of dodging responsibility for his actions, particularly his issues with the law and substance abuse. He argued that Williams had squandered opportunities and positioned himself as a risk to studios, which eventually led to a decline in his career. Hart wasn't mincing words. He laid the blame squarely on Williams' choices. Hart emphasized that he had worked diligently to achieve success and hadn't compromised his principles. He pointed to Williams' own issues, implying that Williams was trying to deflect blame by attacking him. According to Hart, comedy was a serious business, and those who succeeded did so through hard work and dedication, not by succumbing to industry pressures. At its core, this feud became a clash of values and principles. Katt Williams seemed to represent a group of comedians who believed in staying true to their art and resisting any attempts at conformity, even if it meant staying on the fringes of the industry. On the other hand, Kevin Hart was seen as someone who had navigated the mainstream with remarkable success, but was not willing to compromise his values or image. Williams implied that comedians like him and Dave Chappelle couldn't reach the same level of success as Kevin Hart because they refused to bow to the industry's whims. He suggested that they might have been pushed things they were uncomfortable with for the sake of fame. The message was clear. There were boundaries, and crossing them came at a price. In any case, one of the reasons why Katt has always had it for Hart is because he believed that the industry saw an opportunity to replace him with his fellow comedian Kevin Hart. But he didn't blame Hart for the situation. According to Vibe, the prolific comedian claimed Hart was a puppet being strung along by powers greater than himself. But Williams also asserted in his mind, Hart being a puppet wasn't his fault, while comparing himself to the true story star. We don't get mad. Just because I'm better than some black dudes doesn't mean I'm better than no black dudes, Hart said. I'm saying if you want to be mad at Kermit the Frog, don't be mad at Kermit the Frog, be mad at Jim Henson. Don't say F Donald Duck when you really mean F Walt Disney. But Williams also shared he had nothing against Hart at the time despite his feelings towards him. I don't care nothing about that happens to Kevin Hart. I just wish him the best. I just know that somebody's hand is stuck up that baby, you understand? Oh, we're a puppet show, boo-boo. Please believe it, he continued. In a separate interview with Rover Radio, Williams addressed the conspiracy that Kevin Hart might be behind his controversies. Williams was asked if his scandals were a ploy to tear Williams down to put Hart in his former spot. But although Williams shrugged off the conspiracy, he did believe Hart was set up as a possible replacement. The fault wasn't Hart's, however. The real truth of the matter is that I already knew what the situation was, and I had already stepped to the side at the point, Williams said of his comedic career. In the industry, as it was in that small realm, was wondering what's going to happen with comedy. So I helped in the blueprint to create a Kevin Hart to fill that vacuum. Williams further elaborated that Hart couldn't affect his career because at the time he had no real power. He doesn't have any power at all. There are no powerful puppets in Puppetland. Not that the person is bad because they're a puppet, but they're not making their own decisions. Their decisions are being made by a corporation. And so, it's that corporation that I have issue with, Williams shared. Williams also brought up a theory that corporations don't care for Hart all that much. In fact, they might view Hart the same way that they view Williams. If you like somebody, you're not going to let somebody do 12 movies in the course of 12 months, Williams said. You could have broke 12 movies up in 4 years and given somebody a wonderful extended period of time in their craft, instead of giving somebody 12 movies in 12 months. That sounds like you hate that person. Although the comedian had some choice words for Hart at the time, eventually Williams would apologize for his remarks. Stopping by V103 Atlanta, the comedian took the time to address the situation with Hart. I should have never mentioned Kevin Hart's name, Williams said. That is the reigning king of comedy if you ask for popular consensus. Williams would further elaborate on the motivations behind his apology. The fact that I, while being on stage pretending to be higher than that, would then stoop down to the same level and try to embarrass Kevin Hart in front of his children and loved ones after all the hard work he did since 2002 is just regrettable on my part. So I humbly apologize, Williams shared. Katt Williams has built his career from the ground up. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, Williams spent much of his time in Dayton growing up. He started performing at comedy shows when he was underaged, spending years developing his craft while expanding his brand. His career took off in 2002 when he joined Nick Cannon's Wild 'N Out comedy sketch show. His profile further increased by featuring in 2002's Friday After Next. By 2006, he starred in his first stand-up special, Katt Williams Live, Let a Play a Play. From there, his legend grew into what it is today. In any case, Katt Williams' career has experienced much controversy. He's been involved with some high-profile feuds with other celebrities for speaking his mind. But apart from this ongoing celebrity drama, Williams has found himself in numerous trouble with the law in the years following his success. From punching a pool supply guy to getting into a physical altercation with a 17-year-old, Williams has found himself featured on the news frequently. Although he has 19 felonies, he's never been convicted. His lack of filter and his frequent troubles with the law caused speculation among his fan base. Theories emerged that Williams wasn't as successful as he could have been because he truly was blackballed in the entertainment industry. Recently, however, Williams decided to address the myth and verify it as fact or fiction. In an interview with Hot 97, the comedian reveals that he hasn't been blackballed by the industry. Contrary to the opinions of some fans, Williams isn't concerned with being mainstream. He's simply more interested in doing things his way. My fans think like, oh, he's been blackballed, Williams said. Williams believes one of the reasons why his fans think this way is because he doesn't do commercials or sponsorships. After addressing the matter, however, Williams was quick to dispel the myth. But the truth is, in 20 years, I've never been in a commercial audition in my life. Like, I never let my tour get sponsored when I was broke or now, Williams said. You can't buy me, not because I'm not for sale. You can't buy me because I'm not in the store. That's different. Williams may not need mainstream acceptance, but at one point, mainstream accepted him. In addition to being one of the most successful comedians of his time, Williams added an Emmy to his resume. He earned the Primetime Award for his role in Atlanta, created by Donald Glover. Williams appreciates the Emmy win, but he was clear that the Emmy's significance isn't necessarily about him. The Emmy really didn't mean that much to me. It just meant something to me because on our side of the war, coming in, we have to agree that we're not going to win any awards, Williams said. So anytime there's a breakthrough and we do, it's monumental. Williams later clarified his remarks on winning the Emmy. He said, why did he win the Emmy though? He won the Emmy because what that guy was saying is what they've been wanting that guy to say. They wanted to see that guy like that. That's how they wanted to see him in a dirty wife beater, in an old robe, probe, and we wanted him to apologize and say I'm sorry. That's what we would like. In any case, Katt has not been as remorseful towards attacking Steve Harvey. In fact, Katt recently decided to shine a spotlight on Steve, dragging him into the limelight for supposedly pimping out his daughter Lori Harvey to Diddy. Katt's revelations weren't exactly jaw-dropping for many because, let's face it, Steve's preferential treatment towards Lori over his other kids has been crystal clear for years. Lori was the lucky one who got father-daughter dates, while his twin girls and other offspring were left in the shadows. Steve's track record as a parent isn't exactly stellar. Not only did he miss his twin girls' graduation, but he also played the role of a deadbeat dad to his son Bree for a good 16 years. And then there's Wynon, Steve's second son, who had a run-in with the police and CPS due to alleged physical AB. TMZ spilled the details of Steve using a belt and a paddleboard, typically reserved for fraternity hazing, resulting in cuts and injuries on the poor boy. The case conveniently disappeared after some alleged cash exchanges with the authorities, according to Katt. Now, why is Lori the golden child, you might ask? Katt claims it's because she's pretty, and Steve saw her as a marketable asset that he could potentially pimp out. Steve wasn't thrilled with Katt's tea spilling and fired back with some choice words. But let's be real, Steve might have a right to be mad. Katt's revelations spilled some piping hot tea on Steve's other offspring, who were apparently green with envy over Lori's ability to turn her love life into a career. Katt exposed Steve as the puppet master behind Lori's romantic escapades, allegedly pulling strings to hook her up with various dudes, and Diddy entered the scene as one of the lucky recipients of Steve's supposed matchmaking skills. Remember that eyebrow-raising relationship between Lori and Diddy in 2019? Yeah, that one with the 28-year age gap that left everyone scratching their heads. Turns out, according to Katt, Diddy had known Lori since her teenage years, thanks to Steve and Diddy's shared social circles. Lori's role in all this? According to Katt, she wasn't exactly a willing participant. Steve allegedly nudged her into Diddy's arms, all in the name of boosting the Harvey brand. At the time, fans were expecting Steve to step in and put an end to the weird relationship, but he didn't. Instead, he and Marjorie gave it their stamp of approval when they tagged along on vacation with Diddy and Lori. Approving your 22-year-old daughter dating a 50-year-old man is one thing, but actually going on a vacation with them is just something else. Also, according to Katt, he wasn't surprised by the relationship because he knew that Steve had been trying to slide Lori into Diddy's life for a while. He finally saw his chance after Kim Porter passed away. Lori and Kim used to have a great relationship when she was alive, and after Kim's passing, Lori even paid her public tributes on Instagram. She wrote, "Having a hard time processing this one. You were such a beautiful person inside and out. I'm so glad I told you how much I loved and missed you the last time I saw you. Your energy was truly something special, an angel on earth and now in heaven. R.I.P. Mama Kim." With Lori claiming to love Kim so much, it was wild that she started to date Diddy less than 4 or 5 months after Kim's passing. Well, according to Katt, Lori isn't the villain that people made her out to be because Steve was actually the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. Katt claimed that Steve even forced her to delete the tribute she made to Kim Porter because it made her look bad, and he couldn't have that. Word on the grapevine is that there's another reason she should have seen the red flags in this relationship. It's not just about love, but also nail polish. Yeah, you heard that right. Amid all this craziness, Lori's nail polish steals the spotlight, and it's not for a chic fashion statement. Every time Lori stepped out with Diddy, eagle-eyed fans noticed that her nails were painted in white nail polish. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, turns out that Katt spilled some tea in her lawsuit, claiming that Diddy had a thing for white nail polish. It wasn't a quirky fashion preference. Apparently, Diddy made her wear white nails because he loved the stark contrast against the dark skin of the male escorts he pushed her to be intimate with. In any case, both Kevin Hart and Steve Harvey have done shady things, and Katt has not been shy in exposing them. We can only hope that he accepts the invite extended by Joe Rogan and spill more tea on the shady underbelly of the comedy industry. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.